The story starts with a man, Oh Dae-su, holding another man over the edge of a building using a necktie. He asks the man to listen to his story. We then go back to 1988. Dae-su is a Korean businessman with a wife and daughter. On his daughter's 4th birthday, he gets arrested for being drunk and causing trouble. At the police station, he annoys others by showing them the angel wings he bought for his daughter. His friend, Yo Hwan, bails him out. While Yo Hwan is on the phone with Dae-su's family, Dae-su gets kidnapped. Dae-su finds himself in a prison that looks like a rundown hotel room. He doesn't know who put him there or why. He gets food through a small door hatch and is gassed to sleep when he tries to hurt himself or when his captors need to enter. His only connection to the outside is a TV. He learns from the TV that his wife has been killed, his daughter is with foster parents, and he's the main suspect. His captors used his blood and other things to frame him. This, along with being locked up, makes him almost go mad. Dae-su tries to keep his sanity and find out who's holding him. He writes in notebooks about everyone he might have upset in the past but can't figure out who would hate him enough to do this. After 5 years, he starts making tattoos for each year he's been locked up and trains by punching the walls. When he gets an extra metal chopstick in his food, he hides it and uses it to dig a hole in the wall. Over 10 years, he exercises, watches the news, and makes the hole big enough to see outside. He thinks he'll need 1 more month to make the hole big enough to escape. One night, Dae-su is gassed and hypnotized by a woman. He wakes up in a strange place, free after 15 years. He's on a rooftop with new clothes and his prison diaries. He meets a suicidal man with a dog who asks if he has the right to live. Dae-su saves the man by grabbing his necktie and asks him to listen to his story. The movie returns to where it started. After sharing his story, Dae-su leaves the man, who jumps off the building, killing himself and his dog. Dae-su thinks of a quote from a poem, which he uses as a mantra throughout the movie: "Laugh and the world laughs with you. Weep and you weep alone." Lost in the city, Dae-su doesn't know what to do because he's been framed for his wife's murder. He fights off a group of thugs, showing that his years of training were worth it. A homeless man gives him a wallet with money and a phone. Dae-su meets Mito, a girl from a cooking show he watched while locked up. She finds him familiar too. The person who imprisoned Dae-su calls him and says it was an experiment. He dares Dae-su to find him and learn why he was locked up. He gives a cryptic clue: a grain of sand and a rock both sink in water with the same speed. Dae-su eats a live squid in front of Mito, then gets sick. She feels sorry for him and takes care of him. At her apartment, Dae-su tries to assault Mito but she stops him. She understands his desperation and promises to be intimate with him later. Mito learns Dae-su's daughter was adopted by a Swedish couple. Dae-su doesn't contact her yet and finds out Mito has been chatting with his captor online. He leaves, not trusting her. Dae-su visits Blue Dragon restaurants based on the taste of the dumplings he ate in prison. He finds the right one, Magic Blue Dragon, and follows a delivery boy to the prison. He tortures the prison manager, Mr. Park, by pulling out his teeth. From a tape recording, Dae-su learns the prison is for people who want someone locked away. His captor booked him for 15 years because Oh Dae-su talks too much. Dae-su fights off the prison guards and is injured. A man puts him in a taxi to Mito's place, revealing he's Dae-su's captor. Mito takes care of Dae-su. He visits his friend Yo Hwan and plays the tape for him. They learn Mito's online friend is Evergreen. Dae-su thinks Mito works with Evergreen and tries to force information from her. Yo Hwan finds Evergreen's user ID and address. Dae-su meets his captor, Woojin, and his bodyguard, Mr. Han. Woojin says Dae-su can't kill him or he'll never know why he was imprisoned. Woojin proposes a game: Dae-su must find out why this happened within 5 days or Mito dies. If Dae-su succeeds, Woojin will kill himself. Woojin also mentions Dae-su left his front door open. Dae-su rushes home to find Mr. Park and his thugs have captured and abused Mito. Dae-su is beaten, but Mr. Han arrives, offering Mr. Park money to leave. Park takes it, and Dae-su threatens him as he leaves. Dae-su and Mito grow closer and make love. They are gassed, and Woojin leaves a package with Mr. Park's severed hand inside. Dae-su realizes Woojin has been listening to them and finds a bug in his shoe. The next day, they discover Evergreen refers to their old high school, and Woojin was a fellow student. Dae-su calls Yo Hwan, who confirms this and mentions Woojin's sister, who had a promiscuous reputation and later killed herself. Unable to spy on Dae-su, Woojin goes to Yo Hwan's shop and, angered by the comments about his sister, beats Yo Hwan to death while Dae-su listens on the phone. Suspecting that his imprisonment is related to the sister's death, Dae-su locates Mr. Park, who now cooperates after losing his hand to Woojin. To protect Mito, He agrees to keep her in Dae-su's old prison. Mr. Park also confirms that Dae-su was drugged and hypnotized while imprisoned. Dae-su talks to a former classmate about Woojin and his sister, learning about rumors of her sex life and possible pregnancy. The rumors were spread by Yo Hwan, but Dae-su was the source. Dae-su then recalls witnessing Woojin and his sister Soo-ah in a sexual encounter. Unaware they were siblings, Dae-su mentioned the incident to a friend before transferring schools. The rumor spread, and Soo-ah committed suicide on July 5. Dae-su realizes that the clue, a grain of sand and a rock both sink in water with the same speed, means that a casual remark and an outright accusation can have the same devastating consequences. Thus, Woojin blames Dae-su for his sister's death. Upon discovering Woojin's residence, Dae-su confronts him with the information he has gathered. He accuses Woojin of manipulating his memory through hypnosis, but Woojin claims that Dae-su had forgotten the memory on his own, as he considered it insignificant. Woojin explains that Dae-su's casual remark snowballed into a rumor about Soo-ah being pregnant. The truth of the pregnancy remained unclear, but Soo-ah, believing the rumor and fearing humiliation, took her own life. Dae-su suggests that Woojin killed Soo-ah, fearing the possibility of fathering her child, and shifted the blame to Dae-su to cope with his guilt. Woojin, however, sidesteps these allegations with a shocking revelation. He presents Dae-su with a photo album, the first picture showing Dae-su's family. As Dae-su flips through the album, he is horrified to discover that his daughter is actually Mito. Woojin had meticulously manipulated their lives and hypnotized them separately to cause Dae-su and Mito to unknowingly commit incest. Enraged, Dae-su engages in a violent fight with Woojin's bodyguard, Mr. Han. Despite being mortally wounded, Mr. Han subdues Dae-su until Woojin shoots and kills him. Dae-su learns that Mr. Park is still working for Woojin and is with Mito, ordered to give her a similar album revealing the truth. Desperate to prevent Mito from learning the truth, Dae-su begs Woojin, humiliating himself by barking like a dog and even cutting off his own tongue to ensure he never speaks too much again. Although it appears that Woojin is crying, he is actually smugly laughing at Dae-su's self-torture. With his desire for revenge fulfilled, Woojin decides to spare Mito and gives Dae-su the remote switch to his pacemaker. Dae-su immediately uses it, but instead of killing Woojin, it activates a tape recorder, leaving Dae-su alone with a recording of his incestuous encounter with Mito. As Woojin leaves, a flashback of his sister's death shows him trying to save Soo-ah from suicide. She tells him she regrets nothing and asks him to let go, appearing at peace. He eventually releases her. Back in the elevator, Woojin realizes that his revenge on Dae-su hasn't alleviated his pain. The camera focuses on his open hand, which slowly closes as if around a gun, cocks an imaginary hammer, and then he fires the real gun into his head in the elevator, ending his life. In the wintry epilogue, Dae-su seeks the help of the hypnotist who had worked for Woojin, asking her to make him forget the terrible secret about Mito. Unable to speak, he writes her a letter, and she agrees to help him after being touched by his words. Even though I'm no more than a beast, don't I, too, have the right to live? This was the same sentence Dae-su heard from the suicidal man at the beginning of the movie. The hypnotist uses hypnosis to split Dae-su into two personalities, the beast, who remembers the secret, and the ignorant Dae-su, who doesn't. As the hypnotist instructs Dae-su to split into the two people, a reflection of himself appears in the window. The beast remains unmoved, unwilling to leave Dae-su's mind, while the ignorant Dae-su mourns the loss of a significant part of his life. The scene ends with the hypnotist wishing Dae-su the best of luck. Dae-su wakes up alone in the cold, disoriented. He eventually meets up with Mito, and they embrace. Mito softly tells Dae-su that she loves him, and a large smile appears on his face, which slowly disintegrates into a tortured grimace, leaving the audience to wonder if he truly managed to forget the terrible secret or if he will carry it with him forever.